Ashton Kutcher taking Dutasteride for 10 years to stop or potentially reverse his hair loss. Does this mean you should do that as well? This video is going to provide you some interesting facts and insights on Dutasteride as a potential anti-hair loss medication to stop and reverse the hair loss. It hasn't been FDA approved, and I am not a medical advisor, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon, I'm not a dermatologist, so anything I say should not be seen as a replacement nor a substitute for a medical advice, just for entertainment and educational purposes only. So that's the message of today's video: oral Dutasteride for hair loss. This video is brought to you by GoFiber Hair Building Fibers. Pick up your free sample and get instant hair confidence. Start your transformation today. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Matt and you are watching my hair loss and hair transplant related channel. Now, something I recommend to all the guys who are interested in a hair transplant is simply grab my free ebook 5 things I wished I had known before my hair transplant, which will really set you up on your hair transplant research the right way. And now let's come back to the topic of Dutasteride. Dutasteride, before I talk about the Dutasteride, let's take a look or listen to Ashton Kutcher's experience with Dutasteride.
You got good hair. I'm going to compliment your hair.
It's going a little bit though.
It's going?
It's like, I mean, if I really get up in there, guys, I mean, it's like starting to disappear. When I was like 25, I noticed it was starting to go. And so I went and met the doctor, hair guy doctor. He put me on this medication called Avodart. Have you ever heard of this stuff?
No.
From what I have seen, he only had this temporal recession in his mid-20s, and he seems to still have it by now. Okay, maybe it's slightly worse, slightly better. So definitely Dutasteride helped him. Now, does this mean that any young guy in his 20s or even 30s or 40s in the similar situation as Ashton had before he started with Dutasteride should go on Dutasteride right now? No. Before you decide, please hear me out. Now, here are the things that we know about Dutasteride. It hadn't been FDA approved for treating hair loss so far, especially not in the US, not in Europe. The only country is South Korea and Japan. This doesn't mean that Dutasteride had been FDA approved for treating hair loss in Japan, but it had been approved for treating BPH, which is a syndrome of enlarged prostate. Nonetheless, it's often prescribed off-label for the treatment of hair loss, and many patients are asking the physicians about it, because maybe they read about it, they see Ashton getting it, and they're like, hey, I want it. Is it safe? I don't know. Not really. I wouldn't do it. Hear me out. Based on the research, several studies actually, we know that Dutasteride blocks 95% of DHT plus minus up to 100% of the DHT, while Finasteride only 70%. Why? Because Finasteride only blocks or inhibits the type 2 alpha reductase, while Dutasteride blocks type 1 as well as type 2 alpha reductase, which convert the testosterone to the DHT. That means that if you take Finasteride, it will only inhibit the type 2 alpha reductase, while your type 1 alpha reductase will still convert some of the testosterone into DHT. Okay, that's why if you use Finasteride, it will only block like 70% of DHT in your blood, which means there's still going to be like 30% of DHT, which can cause some miniaturization of your hair follicles. Okay, now you know how powerful Dutasteride can be and how much of your DHT can be blocked in the body while using it. This has to logically tell you that this drug can come with more severe side effects as Finasteride. Okay, although scientific research suggests that strong presence of DHT had been shown very important by the early sex development of the male fetus as well as masculinization of the males during puberty, we still don't know how severely a lack of DHT could affect matured males in their adulthood if they attempt to block DHT long term by using any of the 5-alpha reductase inhibiting drugs like Finasteride or Dutasteride, which stop the conversion of testosterone into DHT. We shouldn't also forget about benefits of DHT to our body, like improvements of memory, sexual function, heart health, strength and muscle mass development, ability to treat autoimmune diseases, responsibility for healthy cognitive functions, positive effects on anxiety and depression, and also bone growth. But now at the end of the video, let's briefly talk about the side effects of Dutasteride. This study was observing side effects like impotence, decreased libido, ejaculation disorder, and breast disorders, probably like man boobs or something like that. We can see that during the first 6 months, the side effects were the most severe, and then it kind of just decreased all the way up to the second year. I don't know what happened after that. Now, since many of you have heard of Finasteride and probably are taking it, let's compare the potential side effects of Finasteride and Dutasteride, because there was also one study made on that. 0.5 milligram oral Dutasteride and 5 milligram oral Finasteride. The adverse effects were actually observed more by patients who were on Finasteride, which is kind of surprising. Now, by sexual events, it was also less by patients on Dutasteride. When it comes to impotence, it was also slightly lower by patients on Dutasteride. Ejaculatory disorder, about the same. Enlarged boobs, man boobs, also about the same. But be aware that this is Finasteride 5 milligram and not 1 milligram Finasteride, which is the usual dose, which we know that have 7 times less occurrence of sexual side effects as opposed to 5 milligram Finasteride, and it also has the same effectiveness. And if you want to know more on Finasteride and the differences between 1 milligram and 5 milligram Finasteride, you can just watch my video which I made a couple months ago, 10 facts on oral Finasteride, so you may want to check it out. If we would have compared 0.5 milligram Dutasteride oral to 1 milligram Finasteride oral, we would have come to a very different conclusion. And it would look maybe like that: 17% of side effect occurrence by oral Dutasteride and maybe 1 or 2% side effect occurrence by oral Finasteride 1 milligram. Now, when it comes to topical Dutasteride, it's just another version of Dutasteride, which also hadn't been FDA approved, so I definitely do not recommend it because, it can have plenty risks. You can just try it out yourself at your own risk, as any other non-FDA approved medication which could potentially treat hair loss. Okay, there is no FDA approval for any dose of Dutasteride so far, only 1 milligram of Finasteride. So if you are considering stopping and maintaining your hair loss, then start researching more on Finasteride, and then consult it with your doctor, of course. And if he says like, okay, you are a good candidate, then he's gonna prescribe it to you. I'm sure many of you have been on Dutasteride also for many years. I congratulate you for, successfully managing your hair loss and having no side effects, all that, which is very good. You can share your experience in the comments below. Let us know. And other than that, thank you so much for the attention, and we'll see you in the next video.